Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Rick, and I am here with a review video for a little different this time. So normally I would say this is for the second week of July, but this video is actually for the second and third week of July. We went away to visit Bridget's family for almost a whole week, so we only watched 2 movies in that time. So I wanted to combine those 2 weeks because I wasn't going to have a video where I just talked about 2 movies. I feel like that would be counterproductive. So we're going to talk about 10 movies. So made up for lost time, I guess, in the third week of July. Like I said, today's August 10th when I'm recording. So I'm going to try to get a few videos recorded today. I'm going to get a bunch of videos recorded this week. I have tons of stuff. You guys might notice, and I can't even tell if you can really notice with this angle, but the top shelves might look a little different on the Blu-ray rack. Planning out some additional space. Basically measured how wide the shelf was and bought some 2x4s to elevate the height of the back movies. And I'm going to basically double up that top row, which is going to buy me an extra like 200 plus spaces for Blu-rays. The downfall is I won't be able to see what's behind them without pulling everything out, which is annoying. It bothers me, but I have no alternative. I need more space. I'm also planning on doing something very cool with my 4K shelf, which is basically I'm going to build platforms, go too high, but you're going to be able to see front and back on those shelves because it's a set height depth and there's a lot of wasted space in there. So it just requires me kind of building something, which I'm not the most, coordinated when it comes to that stuff. But hopefully it works. I'm hoping it does work. And then one other thing before we dive in, I want to mention, I talked about in a recent video, Jess, Dollar Tree Queen, had sent me some additional titles. And a lot of you guys had raved about Copper Season 1. So I'm going to keep this. Hopefully eventually check it out at some point. And yeah, this is getting added to the collection, but I wasn't sure because I was caught off guard by the bonus movies. So Copper, I believe, is going in the collection, and hopefully we'll check it out at some point. But we're here for reviews. So the first movie we're going to talk about was a movie we watched on Netflix down at Bridget's parents' house. And that is Winchester, a movie that I really had no interest in seeing. I had heard it was not very good. And full disclosure, I fell asleep 30 minutes into the movie. I did wake up. It wasn't like when I fall asleep during a movie, it's usually like a 10 to 15 minute thing. And I always go back and rewatch what I missed. However, with Winchester, like I said, full disclosure, I think I fell asleep for like 20 minutes. And I never went back to watch the 20 minutes I missed. I kind of got the cliff notes on what I missed, and it doesn't sound like much. So the film is your typical PG-13, creepy imagery, typical, predictable jump scares, and an uninteresting story about the Winchester house. Recently, I may have gotten my hands on a pretty OOP DVD to check out a story about the Winchester house that's a little better from what I hear. So I want to make sure, yeah, it is sitting in a pile to talk about in a future video. So I knew a bit of the backstory just from Bridget kind of telling me about the Winchester house. And Jason Clarke was the lead in the film. He didn't really do much for me either. Helen Mirren felt really out of place in this film as, the Winchester lady, Mrs. Winchester. But yeah, we basically put something on. It was the day we got there, so it was a longer day, quite a ride. And like I said, I nodded off in the middle of the movie, and I have no desire to go back and watch what I missed. I gave it a 1 out of 5. It wasn't very good from what I saw. And it seems to be the common opinion from what I've heard. So However, next we watched a movie that I was pretty excited about checking out when I saw a trailer for it, and that is Palm Springs, which was on Hulu. Um, the trailer basically made it look like a dark comedy Groundhog's Day situation, and I love Andy Samberg, so when I saw the trailer, I was in. I thought it would be a fun time, and the movie started out, and it was a bit weird to watch with Bridget's parents the first like 5 minutes, especially. But there's several laughs like once the movie starts. There's a scene in particular that I have watched multiple times on YouTube since watching the movie. The scene's only about a minute long, and it involves Andy Samberg dancing at a wedding, because basically he's living the same day over, so he knows exactly what everybody's going to do, every move they're going to make, so he's dancing to try to seduce a girl. It's very funny. Like I said, I've watched that scene numerous times. The first 45 minutes, I was cracking up. I was like, this is fantastic. It looked great. The colors were great in the movie. And then there's an event that happens about halfway through, and it just changes the whole tone of the film for me. I'm not going to spoil what that is. Like I said, it's like a 95 minute movie. My hair's crazy. I just got home from work and I wanted to record some videos, and I didn't look my hair. I need my hair cut. I need my beard shaped up. It is getting ridiculous. But the laughs kind of stop at that point in the movie, and the movie basically takes like a left-hand turn, and it, in my opinion, it really hurt the second half of the film. I thought Samberg was good, along with Kristen. I believe it's Milotti. Milotti. She was on How I Met Your Mother. That's how I knew her. And she was the other lead in the film. J.K. Simmons is in the movie in a minor role, but he's funny in that role. And the second half, just like I said, the first 45 minutes, I was like, this is phenomenal. This could be top 5 of the year for me. And the second half just kind of slowed it down a bunch for me. I give it a 3 out of 5. It's still definitely a movie I'd recommend checking out. Like I said, it's available on Hulu. Something I would definitely seek out and watch. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Next up, guys, we watched a Dollar Tree title. We're trying, now with the hat, we're trying to throw in at least one Dollar Tree title in per hat to try to watch some of these movies that just sit on my shelf that I never watch. I just buy for $1 and they just sit there. And the movie we watched was Adderall Diaries, which is funny it says Adderall Diaries on here because I think the titles and the IMDb say The Adderall Diaries. So this stars, as you can see, James Franco, Ed Harris, and Amber Heard. And, I will say that I've had mixed results from what I've watched from Dollar Tree. A lot of what I buy from Dollar Tree is stuff I've seen before. However, I will buy something if I'm intrigued by it, but I'm not as loose with that as I once was. Like, I was buying a ton of Blu-rays. Like, I'd be like, oh, I'll buy one of each Blu-ray. And I'm like, am I ever going to watch this movie again? So I've gotten definitely more selective in recent Dollar Tree rounds with what I've picked up. And the funny thing about this movie is, like, I watched it less than a month ago. I don't really remember much about it. Like, I'm kind of looking at it to remember the synopsis. And James Franco plays a writer, and there's like a high-profile murder case involving Christian Slater. Excuse me. I'm getting over the tail end of a cold too. If you guys notice, I didn't do a live stream last week as of the recording of this. But they're showing the story from 2 different perspectives. Ed Harris plays James Franco's dad, and you can't tell what is real and what's not real and what's fictionalized in one character's head and what's fictionalized in another character's head. It definitely, I have here that you kind of definitely pick up on which is real about halfway through the movie, and it hurts the third act because you've kind of already, I don't know why my camera's being weird. You've kind of already picked up on where the story is going, and you know, basically who you're rooting for and what you're believing. And James Franco's character Steven in the movie is highly unlikable. Highly unlikable. There are flashbacks to a younger Steven when he was a kid, and he was played by Timothy Chalamet. And this movie's from 2015, so it was before he had really broke out in Call Me By Your Name and Lady Bird. So I enjoyed this stuff with the younger Steven because it kind of like set up older Steven and who he became. So I give this a 2 out of 5. It is not going to make the shelf. It is not shelf worthy. I was going to do a thing where like if something didn't make the shelf, I'd toss it. I really don't feel like chucking movies around my living room. So this isn't making the shelf. We're going to put it over there. It's not going in the shelf pile. But next up, something that is going to make the shelf, and it was a first time watch because I really wanted to see the reboot, the remake of this when it comes out. It should have been out already, but we're not going to get into that with everything going on. And this was one of my first times, or my first time watching a Scream Factory movie, and that is Candyman, starring Tony Todd, right? Yes, Tony Todd as Candyman and Virginia Madsen as Helen Lyle. So we watched the unrated cut version of the movie, and you know, I personally don't consider this film a horror movie after watching it. I would consider it more of a like suspense thriller, in my opinion. I enjoyed the story and thought it brought great levels of suspense, like in a well done way. I think this is from 92. Yeah, 1992. So, and I'm more intrigued for the reboot now that I've seen the original. Some people were asking me on Letterboxd, they saw I was watching it on my Instagram, if I'm going to seek out the second and third movie. I don't think I necessarily need to see them. I guess if I came across them like super cheap somewhere, maybe I would watch them before I sold them, because I think the third one's super out of print. But it's not something like I'm like, oh, now I saw Candyman, I need to see 2 and 3. No, I definitely do want to see the reboot, because the reboot looks fantastic in my opinion. But I give this a 3.5 out of 5. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It does have reversible artwork, but I actually think I like this artwork better. The other one's an all white artwork, but I like that one. So we're going to leave it there. Next up, another first time watch for both Bridget and I, and that is Vanilla Sky, which stars Penelope Cruz, Tom Cruise, no relation, Cameron Diaz. Who else was in this bad boy? Jason Lee was in this movie. Kurt Russell. And it was written and directed by Cameron Crowe, I believe. Yep, written for the screen, directed by Cameron Crowe. So Crazy Joe was talking about this after I had watched, The Mask movie, Eyes Wide Shut. And said this was one of his favorites. I told him I'd never seen it. He said, you have to let me know what you think after you watched it. So I did text him after I saw it. This movie has a stacked cast. It was very intriguing. I love the dream sequence in the beginning. I guess it's not a spoiler. It's in the very beginning of the movie, where he wakes up and he's in New York and there's absolutely nobody in Times Square. I've read about what they had to do to film that scene, and he's in his Mustang, and I think it's a Mustang, and there's absolutely nobody on the roads, nobody in Times Square at all. Turns out it's a dream sequence, like I said, first 5 minutes of the movie. But this movie is all over the place, which is the point of the movie. It's not like it's hard to follow, and it's meant to be made that way. I think it would probably be more enjoyable on a rewatch. So I put here, you spend much of this movie wondering what you're watching and if it's real or if it's a dream. And in my opinion, it struggles to get there in parts, but that all kind of like leads to a conclusion. And there's a lot of like studies about this movie and what it means and what's real and what's not in the film. But I think this movie is in an like desperate need of like a thorough editing job. It is 2 hours and 15 minutes, but it just, I don't know. It felt like it could get edited down, or they could shift some stuff around. It's a bit confusing. The movie did have me curious about how it was going to end up until the end. But for me, not one of my favorite Tom Cruise movies. And I love a lot of what Tom Cruise does. I think I've talked about that a lot in review videos. Tom Cruise is a pretty consistent actor. He usually chooses good roles. Usually, I'm not saying everything. Like, I haven't seen everything he's been in, but usually he chooses good roles. This just didn't do that for me. I enjoyed Eyes Wide Shut more personally. I give it a 3 out of 5. It will make the shelf. Maybe sometime down the line I'll revisit it, you know, knowing what's going to happen and kind of look at it with fresh eyes. And next up is a movie that wasn't really on my radar, and I got it in like I want to say a Facebook, like a bulk haul. And we had watched Some Kind of Wonderful, and one of the lead actresses is in it. So I wanted to check it out, even though it has one of my least favorite actors in it, and that is Benny and June, starring Johnny Depp and Mary Stuart Masterson. I always want to say Mary Stewartson or something, but so this movie really struggled to gain interest for me, and what I wrote here doesn't make sense. This movie really struggled for me to gain my interest, and basically intrigued about the lead's life. Yeah, so I wasn't really intrigued by the lead character in this movie, who is, well, the lead characters are Benny and June. It's about their everyday life, and I was kind of bored by them. It's actually funny that Johnny Depp kind of gets injected into the movie and became my favorite part of the film. There's a few scenes that were really good and had me cracking up. But the character Sam that he played was definitely the highlight of the film. I just wasn't really invested in Benny and June's character, especially June. Like, her love story with Sam felt forced to me. But that once again is my opinion. But yeah, I didn't think they were likable leads, but Johnny Depp actually was good in this movie. I will say I enjoyed Johnny Depp in this film. I give it a 2 out of 5. I don't know if this is going to make the shelf. I'll ask Bridget if she wants to keep it. If not, it's probably not making the shelf, because I don't see myself needing to watch this one again. So this is a might make the shelf. Got to check with the lady. I think it's going away, but I watched it. I've seen it now. Next up is a Netflix viewing, and that is Train to Busan. So it was a movie that I had known about. I'd seen artwork for it, but didn't really know about it. Like, I knew about it, but I didn't know about it. So I heard about it quite often, and I saw the trailer for the movie Peninsula, which is, the full title is Train to Busan Presents Peninsula. So it's in the same universe. This is a South Korean zombie film, and wow, it was incredibly well done. I really, really, really enjoyed it. I got vibes from like Snowpiercer in parts of the movie. Really fantastic writing and great zombie action throughout the movie. I'm going to butcher this name, so I apologize. Ma Dong-seok is the standout in the film. He plays the father-to-be, Sang-hwa. His character is very likable. Definitely a lot of personality. Clashes with the young girl who's another lead in the movie. Him and her father clash, but he's a very nice guy. I'm very excited about the sequel now. I cannot wait to check it out. And this is a movie I highly recommend. Like I said, it is on Netflix right now. I give it a 4 out of 5. Train to Busan is definitely worth checking out. Stay tuned to a future video where maybe I show you a physical copy of it. Tease. Thanks, by the way, to Joe Martinez. Another tease, but we'll get there. Next video, maybe. I'll try to make it the next video. No promises, but I'll try. Next up, HBO Max. We watched Scoob with RJ, Bridget, and myself. When this was announced that it was coming out, you could rent it for $20, buy it for $25 on VOD. I really did not have interest in spending that kind of money to rent it. It was something I was like, I'll check it out when it comes to Blu-ray. You know, I'm in no rush. And then HBO Max was like, oh yeah, by the way, Scoob is on HBO Max now. After all these people paid $20 to rent it, $25 to own it digitally, I just watched it on HBO Max, which my girlfriend already pays for, so I didn't need to spend additional money out of pocket. So this movie offers some laughs in it. There's some laughs. There's definitely stuff geared towards adults that I thought was funny. There was a joke that involved the Supreme Court and Harry Potter. And I'll just leave it at that, that I found very funny. I laughed out loud. I enjoyed Blue Falcon, the character. It was voiced by Mark Wahlberg. I thought he was very good in the movie. However, I have an issue with an appearance from a character later in the movie. I think they chose the total wrong voice actor for that character. It felt really forced and just like a bad casting decision. I don't know why they would have picked that person to voice that character, but they did. So, and the movie's entertaining. But I will say, with a 90-minute runtime, it drug in parts. There were definitely parts where I was like starting to kind of look at my phone and just be bored by it. And for a 90-minute animated movie, I don't think that should happen. I give it a 2.5 out of 5. I didn't think Scoob was anything to write home about, but it's enjoyable for what it is. Not horrible, not fantastic by any means. So yeah, 2.5 out of 5 for Scoob for me. Next up is the other title that I forgot to show you guys in my video game movie dome video recently, probably like a week or so ago now, because this was in my review pile, so it wasn't in my video game movie dome pile. That happens quite a bit, sadly. But this is a movie I wanted to check out. It was in our hat, and we picked it out. We actually were going to watch it on DVD, and I upgraded to Blu-ray before we picked it out of the hat. And it is Awakenings, which stars Robert De Niro and Robin Williams. This movie's been on my radar for quite a while. It's been on my wish list, to watch list for a long time. This movie was based on a true story and was absolutely fantastic to watch. It takes place in 1969. Robin Williams plays a doctor who pretty much has had careers just like researching plant life, not with patients, just to himself, research gigs. And he gets a job at a local hospital, and then he's basically, I'm kind of reading from my notes to give you guys like a little bit of a synopsis if you haven't seen it. He then helps a group of patients who survived an epidemic from the 1920s and are all in like different catatonic states. And the movie offers laughs. It has some heart. There's some depressing stuff in it as well. There's parts of the movie where characters kind of realize that they may have lost like a portion of their life and really like not realized it until they like kind of start to, I don't want to spoil the movie, but they basically lose a part of their life and there's nothing they can do to get that back. Robin Williams is so great as Dr. Sayer, and Robert De Niro plays Leonard Lowe in this film, and I highly recommend it. I give it a 4 out of 5. It was a fantastic film, definitely making the shelf. I'm glad I upgraded Bridget's DVD to Blu-ray, because this is one that I highly recommend and I would definitely check out if you have not seen. And last but not least for this video, during the live stream, we were talking about my love of musicals. I ended up watching Sound of Music after that. That was in the hat. And this was the other title I was told I needed to watch. I went out and bought it almost immediately. I got really lucky. It was part of a Facebook Marketplace haul. And that is Singing in the Rain, which stars Donald O'Connor, Debbie Reynolds, and Gene Kelly. This is my first ever Gene Kelly film. And I was told I needed to watch this. As a fan of musicals, you needed to see it. And it did not disappoint at all. The music, I thought, was fantastic in the movie. Very well done. The movie had a lot of like comedy that I enjoyed in it. Uh, Amazing dance routines and dance sequences. And the movie, on top of all that, is just about Hollywood and movie making, which, as a movie fan, I love that kind of stuff. It was very like whimsical, but also tied to like acting in movies. It felt very, like as a fan of a particular movie from 2016 that felt very whimsical, took place in the LA area. Um, the lady who's in the movie plays an actress in the movie, and they're singing and dancing in it. I just can't think of the name of it right now. If only it was on the shelf behind me that I'm pointing at. Obviously, this movie came first, and I definitely would say inspired La La Land. But it reminded me of that in aspects. So, but the movie that they're making in this film must be one of the weirdest movies of all time. Bridget said that, and I was like, I have to put that in a review because it's true. The movie they make in this movie, just what a bat-ass crazy movie it would be. But Singing in the Rain, definitely outstanding. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it thoroughly. Glad I checked it out. And that is it, guys. That is it for reviews. Like I said, that is the second and third week of July. Hopefully I have that time period right. I'm 95% sure. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned to the channel for more review videos, as well as pickup videos constantly coming to the channel. Also, I want to mention really fast before I get into my plugs, a lot of you guys have made comments or noticed the amount of ads being put in my video by YouTube. I cannot control that, guys. I feel horrible. Somebody told me today that they watched a 15-minute video of mine. There were 8 ads. I apologize. I know that's a new thing they're doing, and I'm sorry about that, but I can't do anything to stop that unless I take ads out, and I'm not going to do that. So I apologize, but stick with me. Hopefully it'll change at some point. As always, guys, be sure to hit the thumbs up button if you have not done so already. Subscribe if you don't. It is much appreciated. Hit the bell notification so you guys know when new videos drop of mine. And leave comments down below. I try to write back to 95 to 100% of those comments. Even if it's thank you for watching, it is appreciated. I like interacting with you guys on there. Also, check out the description box down below where you can find links to my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blu-ray.com profile, Amazon wishlist, Letterboxd where I rate and review all the movies that I watch, my eBay page, my email address, P.O. box, all that can be found in the links down below in that description box. That's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Until next time, who's down to movie?